What's happening, everyone? Zoomvivor Season 6, the premiere recap. I'm Lauren from Z4, and I have Sherry with me from Z5. Sherry, how are you doing?
Good. The hurricane's back, you guys. Out with the old and in with the new. Here we come with Season 6, and it looks lit.
It does. Firecast. This premiere episode was amazing. We got to learn a little bit about some of the contestants and players on this season and some of their pre-existing relationships.
Pre-existing. I came from a season where it wasn't just Dakota and I, the king of my season. It was there was other groups involved. But this season, there seems to be a more distinct line. You have McKenna and Carrie. And you have Carrie, who's, I love McKenna. She's my best friend. McKenna. And here's some pictures of McKenna and I together. And then you have McKenna over there. Yeah, I'm here to play. I'm here to win. Sorry, Carrie. I love you, but I might have to write your name down this game. So I am dying to see how this relationship is going to work out for the two of them.
Which is why it's so fitting with what tribes they're both on, because you have Carrie on the Heart tribe and everything she says that's like coming from the heart, how she's truly feeling. Then you have McKenna on the Gut tribe, just like, I'm here to play. Let's do this.
Yeah, so those two, their friendship will, somebody might be owing somebody a drink afterwards. We'll just end it at that. Whether it'll be Carrie or McKenna, but I'm really curious. And then we have Chris. He's over here saying, I don't work with Latinos. I don't like to work with Latinos. I know these Latinos. I know Patricia. She plays a good game, but she's basically unpredictable. And he's like, she's got to go. And they're on the same tribe together. And he is dead set. This poor girl hasn't basically even said a word yet this game that we've heard. And she's already got a big target on her back thanks to him.
And that is a problem with a 6-person tribe. There is nowhere to hide. So if you have a vendetta that is coming after you, you better watch out, because sometimes those people, if they can corral the numbers, you might be toast rather quickly. And that's exactly kind of what I said, even not knowing this relationship in the preseason prediction, based on her intro video, getting blown away by the competition. So I'm just a little worried.
I am too. And then we've got my favorite group at the beginning, the Mind Tribe. Everybody apparently loves math except for Heather. I had died. I was like, really? Everybody. Aaron, I can honestly say I know loves math, but it did crack me up as each player was like, yeah, math. No, people, you're on the Mind Tribe because you're smart. You're considered strategic. You're all about strategy. But none of you were going to admit to that. I guess we all just love math today. Except for Heather. You got to love Heather.
Exactly. I'm on the Heather train. I hate math.
Too.
Why did math need to get brought up? And that's the thing. It's so fitting for that tribe to be talking about something, where you have to use your mind for. I mean, James, you did a good job putting everyone where they were supposed to be. So far, every single person is on the correct track. Now, will they stay true to those tribal lines and actually utilize what they're good at? We'll see. It's going to be interesting.
It will be, because Heather's dynamic in games. I've had the pleasure of playing with Heather and hosting Heather in conflict. And the dynamic that she sets foot in a game, she's quick on her feet. She's fast thinker. She's sarcastic with her remarks, but she's funny with them at the same time. So Heather is somebody who I still see going pretty far in this game. Yes, I know somebody on the tribe's like, oh, hey, yeah, we're going to maybe we should do a math alliance. And I was like, there's 6 of you, 5 of you love math. How does that really work? I don't think Heather's going to be the first to go on that tribe. I think Heather has a good opportunity to take over that tribe.
I believe Valis was pitching the Math Alliance, and we see it in any game. Anything that someone has in common with somebody can link them up together. I just don't see math being the key contributing factor, to be completely honest. And if there is a Math Alliance, any future season that you or anybody else, watch out for the Math Alliance, because it's a thing now.
And I'm serious, here comes the nerds. And they're here to play too, because look, they weren't at tribal council this round. So that they had a few more minutes, because what we don't see in the editing, what we don't see in the game is how fast paced this really goes. James really did give us a really good glimpse of that at this tribal by focusing in on the several different conversations, and you hear all the different names, but we'll get to that towards the end. But I'll be real interested to see how the Mind Tribe pulls together if and when they lose, and how they actually come to a decision on the vote. Because by then, Heather's already going to be best friends with everybody.
Yeah, and I like her character so far, she's not fucking around, and I can appreciate that so much in somebody. She's there for business. She is not there to be all kumbaya with people. As soon as she heard what they were talking about, she's like, fuck that. Let's actually talk about something legit and real here.
Yeah, because when Aaron was asking everybody why they were on there, it was just a simple, let's get the ball rolling. And even Heather was funny with that. She was like, there's Aaron. Let's get over the chit chat. Why are you here? What is your position here? What is your goal? So right from the beginning, Heather's already read the room. She's getting a really good idea of the dynamics and where it's working just by what people are saying.
Yeah, that tribe is going to be an interesting tribe to see what they do moving forward, because we really didn't see any alliances somewhat solidified in that group. Whereas in some of the other groups, we kind of know where some people stand with one another.
Yeah, so that moves us over to the Heart tribe, where the famous line on there was Mark suggesting, as it's pretty clear he's looking at his QVC code, looking for an idol. Oh, hey, maybe we should split up into groups of two and I'll go look in the rooms for things to kind of take the heat off himself. The silver fox comes in and he realizes he's looking around, and he is known for being a silver fox. He does play with his heart, but he is a flirt. He will flirt with everybody and anybody. He doesn't care. So for him to go in and make a bold statement like that, Mark was feeling a little bit of heat. Somebody must have been like, hey, Mark, we see you. We know what you're doing over there. And he got caught. So, hey, yeah, let's split up into groups of two and we'll do this and we'll do that. So Mark taking a lead was impressive to see, because usually Mark's more of the behind the scenes flirty one. But here he is right up. Hey, let's do this. Let's do that. And everybody seemed to go along with it.
And that's the thing. He had the awareness to know what this game is all about, because I think some people coming into the game, they didn't watch all the episodes. They don't know about the QR codes that you have to scan them and have to be aware that this is probably a way that you're going to be able to find an idol. And I always tell people, do your research before going into a particular game, because every single host structures it what benefits them, and it's going to be different than any other game that you play.
Exactly. And with Mark's personality, his charisma, his charm, we don't call him the silver fox just, to throw it out there. He will slide right into your DMs. He will slide right into your life. He will be all your best friend until he can't be anymore. And that's not to say he won't be sad when he has to write your name down, because he will, but he will do it. He's there to play. So don't let the jokes and the charisma fool you.
The only problem is people figuring out how good of a player that I think that he is, because it all comes down to the perception that other people have of you. If they foresee you as a leader and someone that is going to be able to corral the votes, corral the numbers, then they're going to say to themselves, how long can I keep you around? Maybe for a little bit, but I can't let you get too far, because then you might beat me.
Which was almost McKenna's downfall at the beginning. If we pop right on over to her tribe, they lost. It was a sad loss. That was a very good challenge. James put that together well. It ran smoothly. From our point of view, our perspective, it was very competitive. It was just a matter of seconds that they lost by. It wasn't a huge loss, but they lost. And if we look back at the beginning of the episode, you had M.A. McKenna's name thrown right out by Roberto and Kyle. Oh, yeah, M.A. McKenna, they seem to know too much about Survivor. They must watch the show. They're going to be a threat. They need to go first. Yeah. So that was like, uh-oh.
And that's even what I said with a little bit of the cast assessment. People pinpoint McKenna immediately as a threat, but at the same time, she has people that still want to work with her, because sometimes it's good to work with the threats. You don't want to just target the big gun right away, because then you have all these other people that can just align together and then pick off every single big gun in the game.
Because Roberto, I didn't understand his strategy. He said one thing at the beginning, MA or McKenna. And then they're talking to him at one point, and he's obviously having trouble with his video, his audio, just everything is stacking up against him, himself, and he's still throwing out names. The last name he throws out is, I think Cindy should go, because she had difficulties in the challenge. The whole tribe failed. It wasn't just Cindy that depended on Cindy was no. But ironically, you're over here who can't even get into conversations, which is what we kept hearing from everybody. I like him, but how am I going to communicate with him as the game progresses? How are we going to remain on the same page? These votes are quick and fast. And if we can't get a hold of Roberto, how's that going to help my game? And I think that's what targeted Roberto, because I really thought it was going to be Kyle at first. But I think Roberto won out with the bad internet.
Oh yeah. And anything that gives someone a reason to vote you out, especially the first vote and at the beginning, they're going to take it because bad internet issues, easy cop out. You don't really get too much blood on your hands and it's a pretty easy vote. But I do want to talk about the immunity challenge really quick because as James was explaining it, I almost got a little bit of PTSD from your season as soon as I heard cups. Because the moment I heard cups, I was like, oh shit, we're going to see the challenge with the cups and the card stacking, which was a nightmare in my opinion.
It was from hell.
But it led to the funniest moments. You were over there cracking up, smoking a cig. You were into it, laughing like crazy. But everyone else that's watching that had to participate in that challenge, major PTSD, I am sure.
Dakota, his poor hands were shaking. And we're talking about the man who won our season was crumbling right there because it was just the oh, we got to get it done. We got to get it done. And we had such small tribes at that point. And he felt so awful when he didn't get it done. And it was like, I was like, lick the cards, do this, try. And then everybody started licking their cards. So that's, yeah, when he said card, I was like, oh, here they go. He's really going to start out with that one first.
That's how I felt too. And then I heard the whole explanation of the challenge. Okay, they're going to stack the cups, knock it over with the ping pong ball. Then you got two people that have to solve a puzzle. And I will say that puzzle looked really challenging.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was trying to figure it out as they were doing it, the pieces. I was very impressed by that challenge. I got to admit, hats off to the production team and James, because that was just, I've never seen that one done before.
Yeah. And that's a tough puzzle. And that's the other thing you have to consider is volunteering to do what role in the challenge, especially it being the first one. Because as we've talked about before, any simple reason someone can use to vote you out, a challenge for the first immunity can factor into that.
And exactly when Roberta said Cindy did weak in her part, which I didn't really, I just saw at one point where Cindy lost one of her ping pong balls. I don't really foresee that making her weak. She just threw a ping pong ball and lost it. But he was trying to vote Cindy out because she did the worst in his opinion in the challenge. Well, what about the people working on the puzzle, Roberta? Where do you stack them? Cindy got her part done.
And that's the thing too. They weren't the last people to get to the puzzle even. So
no.
you have to look at that as well. And let's be clear here. The Heart Tribe just ripped through that.
They really, truly did. They were done. It was just like hands up. And they weren't the mind, they weren't the guts. It was the Heart Tribe. And they had it done in and out and sitting back saying, whew. I was kind of surprised. And Heather's really known in the community for being really great at puzzles. And I heard her actually directing them throughout. I was almost really surprised Heather and her group wasn't in the mind group wasn't actually on her puzzle because she's known for being very fast and quick with puzzles. She excels usually at a lot of puzzles.
But does that also maybe come down to her having enough self-awareness to know that if it didn't work out in the puzzle, that might give them a reason to vote her out? So she must say, all right, I'm going to do something else with the challenge if these people are really gung-ho about completing the puzzle.
Right, because Erin's good at puzzles too. I've seen Erin in games and she's typically good at puzzles. She's new to the org world, so she's just getting the hang of how this all works. But I felt like they came in and they were under a lot of pressure and they were able to complete it. But you're going to sit there and single out one person, which he clearly voted for. Cindy Roberto did. And I was just like, really? That was really interesting when everybody's voting for you.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. And then also with the Mind Tribe, you had Valis on the puzzle with Aaron. He's the youngest person on this cast. So that's good for him to be able to solidify and say, you know what, I stepped up to do the puzzle. I did well at the puzzle. Yeah, they came in second, but still they completed it before the other tribe. So that kind of is a little bit helpful, especially being on that younger side, because we see age does sometimes play a factor, whether you're the youngest person or the oldest person in the group. Yep.
And I agree with that because being the youngest, it's where's my place? What do I have to prove? And being the oldest, you don't want to look like you can't keep up either. So the two hardest positions in the game is in between right there. Either you're the youngest or the oldest, and each side has something to prove.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest, I still stand by it. I almost thought Kyle was going to go first. Kyle wasn't being perceived well by the rest of the group. And I was really surprised. Somebody obviously included him in because he did vote correctly from what we saw of the votes. I did notice in the comments, I think it was Jim who said, why did Kyle still vote Roberto? And I think it's because somebody told him and he knew where the majority lied and he didn't want to be in the minority. Because in a game like this, that's again giving them another reason to take him out. You're next. You didn't vote with us this round. That's your sign.
And I mean, as a viewer, clearly we don't want to see a clean sweep of a vote. But as a player, you absolutely do. If you are all on the same page with one another, it's super helpful moving forward within the game. Because let's be clear, on my season, people got left out of votes left and right. And that led to so much animosity on our season. And people got pissed off. And then we had screaming matches at tribal council, which, might I say, I hope someone can top my tribal council where we were going at it. But I don't think it'll ever happen. But if someone can do it, please have at it, and you can take the reins away from me, because that tribal council,
I don't think will ever be topped, though. I see that happening, Lauren. Because I thought, when I watched your season, I was like, wow. And I really thought it was going to be more like that going into my season. And it wasn't. It didn't even come close to touching yours. So
our season had so many clashes. And I will say this cast can deliver with some clashes. And I hope that definitely happens, because you have some fiery personalities. I mean, you have Sass on this season. She's, going to be dropping the F-bomb left and right, and she's all about business too. You have some very strong personalities that I think are absolutely, if they get pissed off, they will come at you, and they will come at you strong.
Yeah, because Sass really impressed me when she's like, I'm a bitch. You got a problem with it? Because I don't. And I was like, my girl, I cannot wait to watch her. I am so excited to see her when the time comes and she has to step into the arena and see her lit up in the whole process. I am waiting for it with her, because you and I discussed this before. It's easy to say, hey, I'm going to be a villain this season, but I really want to see if she becomes the villain of the season, if she becomes the badass bitch that people can't get to. I want to see her. She called herself out. Now let's see what she really brings to the table, because I really want to see it. Heather also, hey, you mess with me, I'm going to fuck your shit up. She basically says that. And I believe Heather will. I can honestly see Heather. I think he has some very, very strong females this season. And it'll be nice to see a female win it. We have the king from my season. So it would be nice to have another queen involved. It would be really, really good, because no matter who wins this season, which somebody's already won, we just don't know who it is yet. They're taking the reins from Dakota, and Dakota was a very good representative of our season. Just the way he played throughout the whole game, he was a villain. He was somebody you could trust. He was somebody who could talk his way out of a corner. He was the perfect winner for our season. We couldn't have asked for somebody better to represent our season. So whoever wins this season, you have a lot. You got to be better than Dakota. You got to be better than the person before you. So let's see what they're going to bring. But I really already see forming. You've got Cindy over there with MA over there, and McKenna. I'm already seeing a threesome forming from them three. I think they controlled the vote the whole last round.
That's going to be a strong alliance. But what's going to be interesting is you have MA and you have McKenna, who I think are two really, really strong players. And it all is going to come down to, I doubt that they would go all the way to the end with each other. So who's going to strike first from those two? Because I don't think that they're going to be as loyal as they are currently, because you have to get through the pre-merge stage. And then when you get to the post-merge, it's game on.
Because Cindy is known for being a sweetheart. She is very well aware of what goes on around her. So if they have any chance, it's going to be because Cindy is going to be the peacemaker between them two. I can see that happening. Cindy trying to pull them together, because Cindy loves to be loyal to just a little core group of people, and that's her people, and she will watch their backs. And if they start to fall apart, don't think Cindy won't have a plan B behind her. And if push comes to shove, she will drop one of them like there's no tomorrow. Cindy, I think, didn't get a big edit this round, but I think we have a lot more coming that we'll see from Cindy, because Cindy is usually very opinionated, and she's usually very accurate with her opinions.
I actually think episode 1, sometimes it's good if you don't get a huge edit, because then, and I'm looking at edit based, and I could be completely wrong, but sometimes I think it's more beneficial, because then you can sneak your way in as the episodes continue to go on, and you might come, out of the grass, and then all of a sudden you're running the show.
Yeah, because Cindy is not a pawn. She plays her own game, but she knows how to play with others very nicely. and make everybody feel safe and protected, like she has your back. And the whole time she might be scheming with the person to the left of her saying, well, hey, yeah, what do you got going on? So if Cindy makes it to merge, I could see Cindy really being in a good position going into an emerge position because of her personality. But her aligning right off the bat with Emma and McKenna is going to give her what she needs to get past this first round, which is what, until presumably there'll be a tribe swap.
Yeah, if there's not a tribe swap, I'll be mad at James. James, give me a tribe swap. I need the chaos. We cannot just have it staying on these little tribes like they did in season 41. Not about it.
And I'm still dying to know when Mark in the previews looks at somebody and says, well, do you want to be voted out next? Who was he talking to? Is that coming soon? I hope so. Because for Mark to be that blunt with somebody, they must have really been trying to go the wrong direction. So I'm really dying to see what that was about in the previews, because he kind of left us hanging on that one. Is it going to be Chris trying to get everybody to vote off Patricia or Patricia, however you say her name correctly? Is it going to be him and he's pushing too hard and everybody else is already buddied up with her? I mean, there's still so much story. I don't even know how James edits the first one without it being 2 hours long. It's just unreal, the amount of footage I know he probably got just in the first hour of the game.
Absolutely. And everyone's playing all nicey nice right now, but the bitchy side is definitely going to come out, because I guarantee you every single person on this cast, 100% a player. They all want to win. They're all there for a reason. And you see with some seasons, you're like, okay, these people have absolutely no chance to win the game. And you can't really say that about this cast. I think every single person has a way to make it to the end and a way to possibly win this game.
Kyle, I hope, got an eye opener. I hope he paid attention to the vote last round, because Kyle seems like he has a little attitude that we would really love to see. And I think if Kyle realizes he's at the bottom, we're going to see him starting to fight and claw his way to try to get out of that position. I don't know if Kyle knew that yet. Maybe when he realized that the vote he was trying to set up wasn't going to happen, that was his sign. Maybe he ran with the sign, or maybe he's sitting there thinking, oh my God, what do I do now? But Kyle is not in a good position, and I'd love to see how he's going to claw his way out. And there's already been an idol found. So we already have one idol out there. So the game is definitely on.
The game is definitely on. And I will say, I think Earl has a good relationship going with Mark right now. And so that could be a potential duo that we could see working with each other. And I actually think they're both really strong players. So that might be a good idea, as we've talked about. Align with the strong at the beginning and then see what happens later on down the road, just to get you through the pre-merge stage of the game.
Now, I know Cindy and Heather played when I was hosting them in Conflict. They played the same season together. I just can't remember what their relationship was in that season, because you know how it is when it's almost a year ago. You're like, but I don't think they were out to get each other, but I'm not quite sure. I think they were. I think they at one point might have actually been aligned together, but don't quote me on that, Heather and Cindy, if I'm wrong. But I know that they had no animosity with each other. So that could be a potential come merge. Oh, hey, girl, what's up?
The one pairing that I know 100%, if they link up with each other, they're going to work together, would be Carrie and McKenna, because everyone else kind of has a little bit of a vendetta against one another. Those two do not. And so the benefit that they have is, if no one knows about their friendship in this game, that can be a lethal weapon to utilize anytime you can match up with one another, whether it be a swap or, in the merge section.
And I agree with that. And Carrie has made it very clear that her loyalty is going to lie with McKenna. I prefer not to play with people I know in the game. I went in knowing Dakota. It did not work out with Dakota and I. Everybody thought it was him and Erica that had a pre-existing relationship, which cracked me up, because they have both happened to be like within hours of each other. And it was Dakota and I the whole time, who were in separate states, but had actually physically hung out and, had a really good bond. It didn't stop me from still screaming at him when he didn't play his idol for me when I asked. But like I said, this game, I owed Dakota a drink, and I know I paid him back since. So, yeah, we're straight. But I was not happy with Dakota when I went home. It was like, and so it'll really play on their friendship, because it's not easy having your best friend in the game with you, because now you're not just looking out for yourself. You're making deals that'll include Carrie or McKenna or whoever's making the deal with who, because you don't want to give out the information. Well, trust me, I know Carrie. We've been best friends. That is not what you say. So how are you going to explain that relationship in a game that's that fast paced? So
Yeah.
they're going to, get it all straight. And if it works for them, those two could really take over the game together, because that's 2 is a very strong number in a game that's very fast paced.
And it's interesting too. And you have to also realize going into the game, think about it. The amount of seasons that we've seen where people know each other pre-existing, you have to also think in the back of your mind, okay, other people in this game have got to know each other. You just have to be able to suss out who those individuals are. And just as I've talked about before, if you're in a room with someone, you can kind of see who's talking to who, just looking at people looking up, looking down, where their surroundings are and everything. You just have to be socially aware of what's going on. But I know people in these type of games can get distracted easily, because it's a lot to keep your mind sharp for that amount of time, because you're staring at a computer screen literally all day, and this is a 2-day game.
By the end of the first day, you're exhausted. You're just so happy that it's over the first day, until you realize I've got to get up in a few hours and start talking and get ready for the second day. So by the second day, you've had no sleep. You've been talking all night. You haven't had a lot to eat. You're already wore out, and you still have 8 to 10 hours left to go. Because people may say this is a mini, but it is not a mini. You are playing a whole game in 2 days, and it literally takes it from you. I think it took me 2 days of sleep to feel normal again afterwards. The exhaustion is just real. Your mind starts playing tricks on you, and that is, you become paranoid. You can't help it. Things happen very quickly. Which is like somebody like Erin, who's very new to the org world. To my knowledge, she's only played I Love Money. Shout out to Dylan's game. And she won it first game bout, first in. But she is the type of person that likes to think things through, likes to take some moment, likes to take that, oh, okay, yeah, I can do this and work with this person. That could really hurt her in this game. And that's what I worry with Erin. That could be her downfall, or it could be her greatest asset, because somebody else will take, oh, well, Erin's new. Let me work with her and lead her through this game, until Erin sneaks up behind him and takes over the game, which is what she's notorious for doing.
Right on. And then the also thing we haven't actually seen as viewers is people, I know people always ask this question, because I asked this question. How many games have you played in? How have you done in these games? And then people start to put together the pieces. All right, this person normally goes out in this position, or they've only played a couple of games, or this is their very first one. And sometimes if it is someone's very first game, that's when you kind of want to bring in with you, take them under your wing, use them for as long as you need to, or they could be really loyal to you because they don't necessarily know the ropes of this game in particular. It's not an easy game to navigate whatsoever, because you can be at the top for one vote and right back down on the bottom for the next vote. I had that in my season of Survivor. I was in on a vote, then I was out on a vote, and it was just an up and down thing. But I will say, playing from the bottom is a lot easier than playing from the top.
Agree. Playing from the top, you've got to keep everybody happy. When you're playing from the bottom, you have nothing to lose, so you can just go for it. You can play big. Playing it from the top is too much compromise sometimes. It's a headache, because you've got to think about what this person wants, what that person wants. Don't turn on each other. Don't fall for the cracks. Don't listen. Stick together. It's kind of like what Boston Rob did in his season. Don't talk to them, because they'll just mess up your mind. Just stick together and know what's right. But getting people to do that, saying it's one thing, getting it done is a whole other scenario. And in a game where it can be quick, I would say my season, I was always in the right side of the vote the first half. The night before merge, talked to a lot of people, was starting to wheel and deal, must have said too much, because boom, I was gone the next day like a bad habit. I didn't even see it coming. Well, I knew, I got the feeling, but I didn't have an idol to play.
Yep.
That touchy subjects will get you every time. You listen to the answers, you're like, oh shit.
I think we're going to see a lot of blind sides in this game in particular, just because of how savvy some of these players are, because I think many of them realize if I give too much information, someone's going to know it's coming. They might have an idol, they might have an advantage, and you have to be willing to give a little bit of information, but not too much, because if you give too much, then people are going to say, oh shit, I got to take care of myself. And this person might not actually really be in my corner like I think they are.
And James has done a very good job of showing that in this just episode 1. He gave us a little, enough to make me think, oh, come on, James, I wanted a little more. So he definitely has me coming back for episode 2. I'm so excited to see what's going to go down with episode 2, who's going to lose next, and start to see, because now we're going to start to see alliances forming, or numbers or groups of numbers, just majorities to get them through to the next round, which is always an interesting play out. Because in the beginning of this game, you can't really promise but so much, knowing that you have 3 tribes starting with the 6. At some point there's going to be some sort of swap, or you imagine it.
Exactly, because we haven't seen any of the seasons, I don't believe, where there hasn't been a swap, where there hasn't been a shakeup. So you have to anticipate that is definitely going to come. And it might not just be one swap. They could have 2 swaps. We don't know. James has a lot of tricks up his sleeve, because let's be clear, we've seen seasons where you think you're going to vote someone out in the first round. Guess what? That person didn't go home, and you're sitting there like, oh, fuck, they know I wrote their name down, so I have to adapt to that situation.
Josh could tell you that. Josh shouldn't have gone home first my season, but bless his heart, that's where it stood. It was a shame to see, but it saved my game, because if it wouldn't have been him, it would have been me.
Yeah.
So then Josh did not see that coming. He was, all ready to play. But it really was interesting to me to see McKenna and MA. Without them, I don't even think they knew that Kyle and Rob were throwing their names around with each other, but that they came together and actually took out the person that was coming for them. I thought that was kind of ironic in itself. Karma played a role in this first part of the game. Roberto's got to be sitting there going, the people I wanted out just took me out. Wonderful.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the one thing we haven't talked about Buchang a lot, but really loved her energy. I thought she was super fun on that tribe. I don't think that she's in the core alliance there, but I do think she has an in with those group, because
I agree. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I just think because it's good to have 3 people, but a lot of times you want to have 4.
Especially when it's a 6-person group, which is now 5. Which would still crack me up if the math guy would do his 5-person alliance. I still don't, he loves math, but think about it. You're on a 6-person tribe. And you wanted to do a math alliance, so that's 5 people in your alliance already. What do you do if you lose more than once? Mathematically, doesn't he see where that wouldn't really work? So I'm really looking forward to see. I wouldn't mind seeing the Mind Tribe lose next, just to see how this is all going to come apart.
Yeah, it's hard to figure out who you want to root for, because I like so much of this cast. And even so, we haven't really touched on Casey from the Heart Tribe. Casey got a little bit at the beginning, just talking about what she does for her job. She's also someone I kind of have on my radar to look out for a little bit, because we only saw a little. So that means there's probably more of her coming.
Casey, I think, is going to do well. She kind of strikes me as somebody's going to lay low and then come out screaming when the time comes. I'm really hoping we get more from her next week. There's a bunch of them I'd like to see more from. Cindy, for a good example. I'd like to see what Cindy has to say. Her name just was written down. That's got to be kind of scary. I know in that position, you're like, oh shit, why did he write my name down? Who was backing that and didn't warn me? And then you've got, I wonder if Patricia right now knows that Chris is over there saying she's got to go. I don't play with the Latinos. She's got to go. I know how she plays, and she basically plays like a villain is how he defined her. And I don't play with villains. I only play with loyal. And then you've got MA over there with Neil, and Neil saying, hey, MA, knock, knock, knock. You owe me. We're in Zoom Viber together. Now's my payback time. You owe me a win. This is my win to take. I somehow just don't think MA is going to go for that.
Yeah, after watching MA and MA's personality, no way. MA's there for MA, not for Neil. But Neil was kind of funny, though. He got the whole math train rolling, and he doesn't really like math, but he said it, and he's like, oh, everyone got on board with it, so I'm just going to go with it.
Because Neil also hosts, and it was really, but he did crack me up. Neil is one of my favorite professionals of the night with his MA, hey, I hope somebody makes a meme about this, because it was funny when he was like, knock, 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 Zoom Viber. And, but I can already see with MA's talking about Neil, yeah, I do kind of owe Neil, but it's not going to be this game either. So I have a feeling after this game, Neil and MA may not be as good as friends.
I would say it's just a game. It's just a game at the end of the day. You have fun, you meet some cool people from it. And I've made some amazing bonds after my game, even after Zoom Viber, my season. It's been fantastic. And you get to meet people from so many different walks of life, different countries. It's just fun. I love the Zoom Viber environment.
I agree. And once you're in it for life. And you like Karen, I still talk to, and Casey and Rain I keep up with, and people from my season and Dakota and all them. And it's really fun to watch the progression of their lives and see where they go. Because one day eventually he's going to have a returning season game, and you just never know from which season who's going to be from what. But James, at some point or another, he's definitely going to do a buyback season, a second chance, a hero versus villain. Eventually it'll be an all-star. So these are the people you need to get to know, you need to keep up with and always watch, because these eventually are going to be the people you may end up playing against again. Because James, I don't think it's going to end this anytime soon.
I don't think so either. And again, James has in the back of his mind, gonna have a returner season, and we have had some firecrackers, some great strategists, some great social players. You have so many people to pick from all across the board. And honestly, anybody that James brings back could win.
Oh, absolutely. Because now they know. Now they are well aware of what they're getting into. I think we're all a little naive that first morning when it all begins. I just didn't realize until I got into the game. And if you can't adapt quick, this is not going to be the game for you. Because you've got to be quick on your feet and smart. You've got to think fast, and you've got to be quick to talk to everybody. You can't be introverted at all. You've definitely got to put yourself out there, or you'll be going home, because that'll be the reason. That's one reason it'll take this person. Or if you're too talkative, this person needs to go. It's such a fine line. And you've got very little time to work it out and get it straight. But once you do, those are the people you watch. You go to the end, Dakota, Rain. The list is long of people you've seen just take over this game. Kat was amazing in her season. So many players that I could list. Michael, Casey, just Garrett. Just so many people I know who played this game, and that's how I've gotten to know them, is the bond of Zoomviber. Because once you played this game, it's like you've sat here for 39 days for these people. It doesn't feel like it was just 2 days. It really feels like we were here for 39 days.
Absolutely. And that's the thing that I love about this cast. You have a couple people here and there a little hesitant, but at the same time, not afraid to put themselves out there, reach out to people, get in an alliance, and it's going to be an interesting finish. I'm so excited to see the rest of the episodes and just see what this cast has in store for us as viewers, because it is a phenomenal group of people. I already have my winner pick that I picked when I did the cast assessment. So Sherry, who is your winner pick of this season?
This is hard because there's 3 really good players that I'm rooting strongly for. So as of right now, I'm going to say Cindy. Cindy plays a game that people don't always see her game until it's too late to stop Cindy. If she gets the momentum behind her, I'm going to go with Cindy for the win.
You got Cindy for the win. And as I picked MA in the assessment, both on the same tribe right now and in an alliance. So maybe a strong pairing, a strong trio coming, and I cannot wait to see if we are correct. Normally I'm wrong, but maybe this time I am right.
I think MA is going to go far. We're going to have to do a top 5, because I just can see so many players. And as the game progresses, I could really see some standout players. And like I said, Sass, I'm waiting on you, girl. Don't disappoint me.
Join the club. We want new members.
You get to tell people to fuck off if you want, Sass. Don't forget that.
I think we're going to get it from multiple people, not just her. I think multiple people are going to get frustrated, going to get angry, and they're just going to let it fly.
I am looking forward, though, to seeing where these people are going to go with this game and how they're going to manipulate it, how they're going to use it for their advantages and for their disadvantages. Because like I said, it's all about adapting. And as long as you can adapt and adapt quickly, we'll see you at Merge for sure.
And we'll wrap it up with this because you brought it up. Give me your top 5. Would love to hear it.
Okay, so Mark, my Silver Fox, Cindy, MA, McKenna, and Heather.
There you have it. That's Sherry's top 5. Now, is Sherry going to be right? We will find out. But thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in to the recap of Zoomviber Season 6. We cannot wait to see how this season unfolds. Once again, I am Lauren. This is Sherry. Good night, everyone.
Bye.